Chapter 60. Get out now immediately, right away. The next day, Lu Xuexi was discharged from the hospital, and Yao Lin specially brought Jiang Ying and Jiang Han to pick her up. Jang Su didn't go. Not only did he not pick her up, but he didn't even plan to reply to her messages. In order to avoid waiting for Lu Xuexi at home, Jang Su directly clung to Jiang Xuxiu. Can't you take me with you when you go out? I'll just follow you and definitely won't cause you any trouble. No. Jiang Xuxiu refused mercilessly. Jiang Su almost strained his neck when he heard this. Why? I even call you sister. You don't have to. Jiang Su felt aggrieved, but didn't give up. I'm at least considered your big client. Shouldn't you take your big client out for a spin? He had spent nearly 700,000. At her previous rate of earning 30,000 yuan per job, how long would it take to earn 700,000? Jiang Su felt that by comparison, he should be considered a big client. Jiang Xuxiu just glanced at him, took out her phone without a word, and showed him Song Yongming's transfer records. Song Yongming transferred 3 million yuan to you. Then she flipped through another one to show him the transfer records from Jiang Yuqing. Jiang Yuqing transferred 10 million yuan to you. Silence speaks volumes. Jiang Su. What the hell is all this? Is Jiang Xuxiu's line of work this profitable? No, how can my uncle's transfer count? A father giving his daughter money is just pocket money. Jiang Xuxiu flipped through the previous 10 million transfer record for him again, explaining. The previous was pocket money, and the latter 10 million is the reward. Jiang Su. A little jealous. Originally thought this cousin was penniless, not even having 5 million pocket money. Turns out he was the clown. His dad never transferred him 10 million at once. In the end, Jiang Su expressed that in order to make up for his wounded heart, Jiang Xuxiu must take him out today. Jiang Xuxiu didn't expect that having a younger brother would be so annoying. If she had known earlier. Never mind. Jiang Xuxiu still took Jiang Su out with her. The driver drove the car directly to the residential building where Lin Ruirui was located. The moment Jiang Su got out of the car and saw the old residential building, his expression changed. What are you doing bringing me to this demolition building? He thought this was a dilapidated community about to be demolished. After all, the environment of this community was even worse than the community Jiang Xuxiu had rented before. Jiang Su had never been to such a dilapidated place since he was a child. He was even more stunned when he walked into the unit building. This building doesn't even have an elevator. Heiress still has buildings without elevators? Jiang Xuxiu couldn't help but glance at him, ordering expressionlessly, "You immediately, go back now." Jiang Su immediately covered his mouth. "I won't say it anymore, okay?" When they climbed to the top floor and saw Lin Ruirui's one-bedroom apartment, Jiang Su once again refreshed his understanding of poverty. Just as he was about to speak, he saw Jiang Xuxiu's cold gaze sweeping over him, and immediately shut up. No guests came to the Lin family, and there was only one bed in the Lin mother's living room to sit on. But Jiang Su's upbringing since childhood did not allow him to sit on the host's bed without permission, so he pulled a plastic stool from the side and sat down obediently. He was tall, and sitting on the stool with his long legs looked very awkward. Jiang Xuxiu saw that although he was surprised after entering the door, he no longer showed a disdainful look, and couldn't help but take a few more glances at him. This kid looks like he can still be saved. Lin's mother could tell at a glance that Jiang Su was not simple. After all, his outfit looked very expensive. Standing in place a little cramped, and a little worried. "Little master, you came here specially today. Is there anything else wrong with Ruirui?" "She's fine, I just have something to give her," Jiang Xuxiu said, leaving Jiang Su outside, and went into the room to talk to Lin Ruirui. Lin Ruirui had stayed for more than a year after all. Even if she was already well, her body was still slowly recovering. At this time, she was lying on the bed, watching Jiang Xuxiu take out a familiar small paper lantern from her backpack. Watching the paper lantern rise in her palm, Lin Ruirui was still a little nervous about whether the child's matter was not good. But then, a familiar voice suddenly came from the small paper lantern. "Lin Ruirui, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong." Lin Ruirui's body trembled subconsciously, and her hands clenched the quilt tightly. Mother Lin didn't know whose voice it was at first, but when she heard the end, her eyes turned red instantly. and her voice was full of anger. Is this the person who caused Ruirui to become like this? She ruined my Ruirui's life. Does she think we will forgive her with such a light apology? The color drained from Lin Ruirui's lips, but she still bit her lip tightly, obviously unwilling to accept the other party's apology. Moreover, given Guan Ruirui's personality, she didn't think she would sincerely apologize to herself. Seeing this, Jang Su told her about Guan Ruirui's previous situation, and how she mistakenly thought it was Lin Ruirui's ghost seeking her life, and explained simultaneously. I asked her to record these things, firstly because you deserve an apology, and secondly, with this recording, you can completely clear your name from the online abuse a year ago and let everyone know the truth. Hearing her mention the internet, Lin Ruirui's face turned pale, obviously reminding her of the overwhelming insults and accusations against her a year ago. But she had finally escaped those scoldings. If Guan Ruirui's recording was posted online, she might gain innocence and understanding, but everything from a year ago would definitely be brought up again, and some people would still question her and humiliate her. Mother Lin obviously also thought of the past, and she was even more worried that if the same situation happened again, Ruirui would collapse again and be taken away by something taking advantage of her weakness. Both mother and daughter showed resistance at the same time. Jang Su was not surprised. After all, they had finally obtained their current peace. This was also why Jang Su gave her the right to choose. You can choose to live quietly from now on, or you can choose to use it to defend your reputation. I give you the recording just to give you a second option. Without the recording, Lin Ruirui could only live with those doubts and humiliations, but the internet has no memory, and she could still start over. This was her only path. But the recording was a second path, a path she could choose not to take, but she should have the right to choose. Jang Su would not presumptuously and righteously make the choice for her. She was not the person involved and had no right to choose for her. Jang Su didn't try to persuade Lin Ruirui further, as she placed the paper lantern in her palm. Lin Ruirui looked at the paper lantern in her hand, her lips still tightly pressed together, clearly caught in a dilemma. Outside, Jang Su couldn't hear the noise inside and idly scanned the small 10 square meter space before him, which was crammed with various items. Just as he was clicking his tongue in amazement, a knock suddenly came from the door. Jang Su subconsciously glanced toward the bedroom, seeing that it was quiet inside, as if no one had heard the sound. Jang Su wanted to call out, but the knock on the door came again, seemingly urgent. Jang Su simply walked to the door and opened it himself. Coming, stop knocking. The door opened to reveal a young man of about 18 or 19, with dark circles under his eyes and an overall gloomy aura. His eyes were red when he saw him, as if he wanted to devour him. He gritted his teeth word by word. Who are you? Young Master Jang Su's temper flared up, and he raised his chin, asking him in return, who are you? The young man stared at him intensely, his voice hoarse and cold, spitting out 2 words. Qin Hao. Chapter 61. Qin Hao, you make me sick. Jang Su subconsciously wanted to ask who Qin Hao was, but the next second, the young man had already stepped forward, trying to barge in. I'm here to find Ruirui. Jang Su was caught off guard, and the young man squeezed through the door. Jang Su and the others in the room heard the commotion, and when they opened the door and saw Qin Hao, Mother Lin's face instantly turned incredibly ugly. As for Lin Ruirui, her already poor complexion turned deathly pale, and her body began to tremble involuntarily. As soon as Qin Hao entered, he saw Lin Ruirui sitting on the bed, staring at him with wide eyes. His gloomy eyes seemed to light up instantly, his tone full of surprise. Ruirui, I knew you weren't dead. As he spoke, he raised his leg and strode toward Lin Ruirui. Mother Lin didn't dare let him approach her daughter, who had finally recovered, and subconsciously stood in front of Lin Ruirui. Jang Su also guessed the identity of the young man before her, and was about to step forward to stop him. But a figure was faster than Qin Hao, whooshing directly to block the bedroom door. He raised his hand and pushed hard, pushing Qin Hao, who was trying to enter, away. You freaking back off. I dare you to take another step, I'll break your legs. The young man was still immature, but the fierceness in his eyes was unmistakable. His 14-year-old frame was already tall, and at first glance, he even seemed somewhat reliable. Qin Hao was caught off guard by the push, and his face immediately revealed a fierce look. He stared at Jang Su intently and asked him again, "Who are you?" "This is between her and me. Who am I?" "I'm just a righteous passerby," Jang Su retorted without thinking. Seeing that Qin Hao was still trying to rush in, he raised his hand again and gave him another hard push. "Stand there. Did the owner of this house invite you in? Besides, my sister hasn't spoken yet. If my sister doesn't let you pass, you better stand there obediently." Jang Su completely positioned himself as his sister's bodyguard, acting as if everyone should kneel before him unless his sister spoke. Qin Hao only wanted to see Lin Ruirui and had no intention of listening to his nonsense. Seeing himself being pushed back repeatedly, he immediately got angry and, without another word, swung his fist towards Jang Su's face. Although Jang Su was young, he had been trained at home, and instinctively raised his hand to block. But his movements were a beat too slow, and just as he thought he was going to get hit, Jiang Shushuan behind him gently waved her hand. Qin Hao's swinging fist froze in midair. Qin Hao was stunned. Jiang Su was also stunned. But he had similar experience and reacted faster. Taking advantage of the 2-second gap, he quickly switched from defense to offense, grabbed Qin Hao's arm, twisted it behind his back and pressed down. His movements were so smooth that Jiang Su almost thought he was too handsome. He suddenly turned his head, looking at Jiang Shushuan with excitement, his eyes full of light, as if asking, "Am I handsome? Tell me I'm handsome." Although he had guessed that Jiang Shushuan had helped him from behind, that didn't stop Jiang Su from being proud of himself. Qin Hao was pressed to the ground on one knee, his face growing more violent, his face flushed, like an angry cub. He struggled to break free from Jiang Su's suppression, but for some reason, his arms and legs were inexplicably weak, and he could only let the other party press him down. He looked up and met Lin Ruirui's gaze through the bedroom door, and couldn't help but speak. "Ruirui, it's Qin Hao. Are you just going to watch them treat me like this?" Lin Ruirui tightly gripped the sheets, her eyes staring at Qin Hao outside, her whole body tense, but she didn't speak. Qin Hao said again, "Ruirui, I just wanted to see you. I've been worried about you for more than a year. I wanted to come find you, but my family has been watching me. They won't let me see you. Ruirui, you know I love you. I've been thinking about you." Qin Hao narrated his feelings to himself, but he didn't know that every word he said sounded like the whisper of a devil in Lin Ruirui's ears. Her body trembled uncontrollably, and the memories of being bullied and threatened by him to become his girlfriend kept replaying in her mind. Finally, she couldn't help but interrupt with a scream. "Shut up! Shut up!" Lin Ruirui's eyes were red, staring at Qin Hao, her voice trembling and resolute. "I don't want to see you at all. Every word you say makes me feel disgusted. Qin Hao, you're a scumbag. Why won't you let me go? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong?" Lin Ruirui had been tense since she woke up yesterday. Like her mother, she deliberately wanted to forget what happened a year ago, and even began to imagine a new life afterwards. But Qin Hao's arrival made her realize that she couldn't forget it at all. She cried out in a hoarse voice, as if to vent the pain and despair she had endured over the past 2 years. Jiang Shushu remained silent, while Jiang Su, who was pressing down on Qin Hao, also pursed his lips and said nothing, only increasing the force with which he held Qin Hao down. The latter seemed oblivious, staring intently at Lin Ruirui inside the house, unable to believe her reaction. In his view, she and he had reunited after a long separation, knowing that he had been fighting his family for her sake, and that her escape from death should have been a great awakening, making her realize her feelings for him. But why? She actually said he was disgusting? "Lin Ruirui, dare you say you've never liked me?" Qin Hao gritted his teeth, still not believing what she had just said. Yes, he bullied her at first, but he apologized to her. Yes, he forced her at first, but that was all because of a momentary impulse. Later, when he realized he had fallen in love with her, he genuinely made her his girlfriend. Although there was indeed an element of threat in the middle, that was only because he liked her. He had always believed that as long as she became his girlfriend, as long as she spent enough time with him, she would fall in love with him as he had with her. Even though she always showed resistance on weekdays, He firmly believed that she liked him. I have never liked you. You have been forcing me all along. You threatened me with my mother's job. You threatened me with my studies. How could I possibly like you? I don't like you at all. You're the one who won't let me go. Lin Ruirui's voice was full of despair. She didn't know what she had done wrong, why she had to suffer such treatment. He brought people to block her in the women's restroom, hosed her down with water pipes, and joined others in mocking and humiliating her. He poured his leftovers into her bowl, tore up her books, and even pressed her into the mud to make her recite. God knows, when he said he liked her, she felt so disgusted she almost wanted to vomit. How could he think that after he had done so many terrible things to her, she could still like him? How could a person possibly like someone who had hurt them so deeply? Chapter 62. Failed to eliminate resentment. Listening to Lin Ruirui's every word, Qin Hao's face was filled with disbelief. He had always thought she liked him, although she didn't admit it, but weren't girls always like this? Weren't the male and female leads in those campus idol dramas like this? Qin Hao had always taken it for granted that their love story was a campus idol drama. But in Lin Ruirui's eyes, it was just a desperate case of school bullying. The so-called campus idol drama was just beautifying a crime. Only those who are truly in the midst of bullying know how despairing the experience is. Looking at Qin Hao, who looked deeply shocked, Lin Ruirui felt it was extremely ridiculous. She lowered her head and shed tears. At this moment, she finally made a decision in her heart. I'm going to sue you. Lin Ruirui gritted her teeth, her voice hoarse but firm. What you did to me in the past, forcing yourself on me against my will. I'm going to sue you. Qin Hao, whether it's you or Guan Ruirui, I'm going to make you pay for what you've done. This time, she wouldn't be afraid anymore. Lin's mother, who was beside her, was already in tears, turned around and hugged her daughter tightly. Ruirui, Mom supports you no matter what you want to do. Mom will be with you. She was going to sue them. Those who had hurt her daughter should all be punished by law. Jang Su didn't know Lin Ruirui. He didn't even know what Jang Su was here for today. But that didn't stop him from enjoying the drama. The shocking revelation he gleaned from their words was enough to shatter his values. Even when he was being unreasonable before, he never thought that people could be so shameless. He immediately kicked the scumbag's leg and turned his head to Lin Ruirui. I support you too. Sue him. If you don't have enough money, this young master will help you. If this young master isn't enough, there's my sister, my brother, my uncle, little sister. Don't be afraid, sue him to death. Jang Su was getting fired up for the first time. Even if the other party was just an unfamiliar young lady, he was determined to take care of this matter. Lin Ruirui, with red eyes, turned to look at Jang Su, who had not spoken, and said in a hoarse voice firmly again, Master Su, I want to sue them. Jang Su met Lin Ruirui's firm gaze, knowing that she had made her choice. The corners of her mouth curved slightly. Her voice was very soft. She only said, You just go ahead and sue, no one can easily hurt you again. Because this time she would protect her. That day, Jang Su directly called his father to ask for the contact information of Jiang Hai Group's legal team, collecting evidence, filing a lawsuit, and even bringing out the various comments and messages from a year ago when Lin Ruirui was attacked and slandered online, to find out the mastermind behind the water army that persecuted Lin Ruirui. At the same time, Guan Ruirui's confession recording was posted online. Along with a lawyer's letter, the case of a female student's unmarried pregnancy suicide a year ago was brought up again, setting off another wave of outrage on the internet. The aftermath of Qin Hao and Guan Ruirui facing waves of online judgment after the truth was exposed is another story. On this side, Jang Su was gearing up to get justice for Lin Ruirui. On the other side, a small accident happened to Jiang Su. Standing in front of the Jiang family's villa gate, Jiang Su looked at the familiar black hat and black pants, expressionlessly took the familiar box from the other party's hand. You said the resentment cannot be eliminated? The black-hatted delivery guy nodded. That's the feedback from there. The item has been safely returned. Welcome to use Linkshare Flash Delivery again. After speaking, the black-hatted delivery guy quickly left. The butler even hurried out to chase after her, calling out twice, but couldn't stop her. Why did he leave? I just needed a flash delivery. The butler muttered to himself, then looked at Jang Su and asked her, "But miss, which flash delivery company did you call? I don't seem to have heard of it." Jang Su was still staring intently at the box in her hand, in no mood to explain. She just nodded vaguely. "Yeah, that's right, you wouldn't have heard of it." With that, she turned and went back to her room with the box. After putting the box down, Jang Su immediately called the other party to scold them and demanded a refund. She spent 800,000 to eliminate the resentment, but it was sent back to her in exactly the same way. Jang Su rarely felt so stuck. After all, if the resentment on the vengeful spirit couldn't be removed, then she could only directly obliterate it. But she had promised Lin Ruirui and Lin's mother before. She would try her best to eliminate the resentment and try not to use the last resort. But now, what can be done to eliminate the strange resentment on this vengeful spirit? Jang Su pondered, then rummaged through her various talismans, trying to find a solution. Perhaps she was too focused and didn't notice when Hu Piao Piao came over. The little fox nimbly jumped onto the table and pawed at the box with its furry paws, then pawed again. By the time Jang Su reacted, Hu Piao Piao had already pushed the box to the edge of the table. Her almond-shaped eyes widened. "Hu Piao Piao." She gave a low shout, but Hu Piao Piao had already pushed the box out with one paw. With a thud, the box suddenly fell on the carpeted floor. "Hu Piao Piao, do you think you're a cat? Actually learning to push things like people." Jiang Hushi wanted to discipline the naughty little thing, but she still picked up the box from the floor as soon as possible. Fortunately, the box was specially sealed and would not be easily broken. As Jiang Hushi thought this, she saw a crack suddenly appear on the box. Immediately afterward, the crack spread rapidly. The next second, soaring resentment burst out from the crack. Even though Jiang Hushi reacted quickly enough, she was almost hit by the resentment. She subconsciously threw the box out, and at the same time threw out a yellow talisman. Just as she was about to take action to seal the resentment, she never expected that the resentment would explode instantly the moment it collided with the yellow talisman. Bang! The explosion directly startled the people in the villa. Jiang Hushi couldn't care about so much, watching the box explode. The wraith wrapped in resentment rushed out of the room and flew straight outside. Jiang Hushi's face changed. She grabbed the bag next to her and quickly chased after her. But she saw that the wraith was extremely fast, dodging the yellow talisman that Jiang Hushi flew out several times, and scurried around the community all the way. Then, as if it had found a target, it rushed straight in a certain direction. When she saw the familiar figure appearing in the direction where the wraith rushed, Jiang Hushi's face changed drastically, and she quickly pounced towards that side. Chu Beizhi, get out of the way. The person who was called out turned his head when he heard the sound, and subconsciously raised his hand when he saw a cloud of black air rushing towards him. He directly grabbed the cloud of black air in his palm. Chapter 63. Can you see this? Jiang Hushi was stunned in place. The reason she subconsciously asked him to dodge just now was not because she felt that the little wraith could hit Chu Beizhi. After all, with the golden light on Chu Beizhi that repels ghosts and evil, an ordinary ghost would be like a moth flying into a flame. Rather than Chu Beizhi being hit by the little wraith, she was more worried that the little wraith would be directly turned into ashes. But the reality is, the little wraith was not turned into slag, but was directly caught in Chu Beizhi's hand. Caught. Jiang Hushi subconsciously looked at Chu Beizhi and saw that the latter was frowning, staring at the cloud of black air struggling in his palm with a cold look. Jiang Hushi, can you see that thing? Jiang Hushi couldn't help but ask, her eyebrows also furrowed. Chu Beizhi turned his head to look at her. His expression was strange, his dark eyes were deep, obviously asking, what is this thing? His palm did not feel the touch of a real object, but more like holding a condensed and struggling gas. Seeing the black gas struggling constantly, about to break free from his palm, Chu Beizhi subconsciously grasped it hard. Jiang Hushi was just about to take over, but when she saw his action, she subconsciously stopped him. Don't. But it was too late. Jiang Hushi saw that the golden light around the big guy instantly submerged the wraith in his palm as he exerted force, and there was only one thought in her mind. It seems that the little wraith could not escape the fate of disappearing. But the next second, She saw that the moment the golden light submerged the wraith, the black resentment that originally enveloped the little wraith disappeared as if it was dispelled by the golden light. What remained in Chu Beizhi's palm, however, was a chubby white mass that resembled a ginseng baby. The tiny chubby mass was held in Chu Beizhi's hand, its small limbs flailing and struggling haphazardly. Even Jang Su was visibly unfamiliar with such a scene. Her almond eyes widened slightly, her expression unusually displaying some surprise and confusion. This is that little vengeful infant? After the black mist dissipated, Chu Beizhi also clearly saw the ginseng baby in his hand, and a rare tremor ran through his usually calm and indifferent dark eyes. Seeming not to understand what he had caught, subconsciously, he looked at Jang Su, wanting to seek an answer from her. Seeing him staring blankly at the thing in his palm, his brow furrowed even tighter, and he couldn't help but remind her. Jang Su. Reminded by that slightly suppressed cold voice, Jang Su suddenly reacted, stepped forward without hesitation, and directly pulled out a yellow talisman to wrap the little thing in Chu Beizhi's hand. Seeing that it was about to slip away, Jang Su acted extremely quickly. The yellow talisman wrapped around it, and she quickly rolled it into a ball. Then, she casually grabbed a red string and tied the little ginseng doll into a ball like a rice dumpling, and held it in her hand. Chu Beizhi. Even at this time, Chu Beizhi did not show too obvious brokenness or suspicion on his face. Only a twitch at the corner of his eye exposed his emotions. In just a moment, he returned to normal and calmly said, "This is also your pet. Last time it was a little fox, but this time it was this strange thing that didn't seem to exist in reality, plus the disappearing silk threads he saw with his own eyes last time." Chu Beizhi had begun to believe that this young lady of the Jiang family, who had just been found, did have some strange abilities. Jang Su didn't expect him to ask this. The corner of her mouth twitched, but she still calmly said, "No. She doesn't raise ghosts. This is a vengeful infant that was caught on the roof of the abandoned teaching building before." Jang Su said, "I accidentally let it run away just now." Chu Beizhi looked at the constantly shaking rice dumpling in her hand, his deep black eyes slightly speechless. Jang Su thought that since he could see it, she naturally didn't intend to hide it any longer. Moreover, she had always wanted to find an opportunity to test him about the 3 purple thunders before, and now she had a rare opportunity. "Mind if we talk inside?" Jang Su raised the rice dumpling in her hand and gestured to the Chu family villa behind him. Chu Beizhi's face was cold. Under normal circumstances, he would not actively invite people into his territory. But he was indeed a little curious, so he silently turned around and walked inside. Jang Su also followed directly with the rice dumpling. This wasn't the first time Jang Su had come to the Chu family, but the previous 2 times she had come and gone in a hurry, and hadn't been able to properly see the interior of the villa. Unlike the Jiang family, the interior decoration of the Chu family was relatively simple and unadorned, with a touch of Chinese-style low-key luxury. The overall look was very dignified and grand, but it vaguely gave her a sense of emptiness. It wasn't until she followed him all the way to the study on the 2nd floor that Jang Su suddenly realized where this sense of emptiness came from. The Chu family's villa was too empty. Although she could feel a clear sense of popularity, she hardly saw a single person from the time she entered the door until she went upstairs. Thinking of Chu Beizhi's strange obsessive-compulsive disorder, it was not difficult to guess that the big boss probably didn't like seeing people wandering around in front of him. The servants in this house were probably specially trained not to appear casually in places where the master could see them. This wasn't that strange. Jang Su knew that some families had similar rules. But apart from the maid, what she found even stranger was that whether it was last time or this time, she didn't seem to see any other members of the Chu family at the Chu residence. Were they gone? Or had they all moved away? While Jang Su pondered, she followed Chu Beizhi into the study. Without rushing to speak, Jang Su first hung the zongzi she was carrying on the doorknob of the study, then turned and walked inside towards the sofa. Chu Beizhi watched her movements, his eyes filled with silence again, before following her to sit down on the sofa. "You can talk now." His deep voice was devoid of emotion, as indifferent as if he hadn't just caught a vengeful infant. Jang Su didn't mince words. concisely explaining her profession and what happened that day in the abandoned school building. This naturally included Lin Ruirui and the baby that Lin Ruirui had miscarried. Chu Beizhi listened in silence, his face not showing much change in expression. Wealthy families have a higher acceptance of metaphysics and feng shui. Coupled with some of his own childhood experiences, he vaguely guessed something. It was just that today was the first time he had truly seen it. Well, not just seen it, but also caught it. You haven't seen it before? Although Jiang Shushuan asked this, she knew very well that with the boss's golden aura, it was normal not to see ghosts within 10 meters. Ghosts would directly hide and run when they saw him. Sure enough, Chu Beizhi shook his head, never seen it. Jiang Shushuan's eyes flickered, and she suddenly reached out and sifted around him, then opened her palm, revealing 2 golden lights that she had just peeled off from his body. She just spread out her hands like that, asking him, "Then can you see this?" Chapter 64. The fiancé picked for her. Chu Beizhi frowned slightly. This wasn't the first time he had seen Jiang Shushu make such a move in front of him. It was just that last time she did it relatively discreetly. This time she was doing it openly. His dark eyes narrowed as he simply asked, "What do you have in your hand?" Jiang Shushu knew from his voice that he couldn't see it. But that was normal. Since she came into contact with occult arts, she had seen many figures in the mystical world. At most, those people could see Yin energy and ghosts, but they couldn't see so many colors like she could. However, since the topic had been opened, Jiang Shushu didn't intend to hide it from him. Her small face slightly serious, Jiang Shushu looked at him and said, "I have golden light in my hand." She paused, then added, "Snatched from you." Chu Beizhi. "You have a lot of golden light on you," Jiang Shushu said. "So every time I see you, it's a little blinding." Chu Beizhi. He vaguely understood why she blinked so hard every time she saw him before. What is golden light? Generally speaking, golden light only appears on people with great merit, but I've asked around, and apart from occasionally attending charity auctions, you haven't had any outstanding performance. This golden light is probably the merit you accumulated in your previous life. Jiang Shushu said, "Golden light protects the body and wards off all evil. You were probably a remarkable philanthropist in your previous life. You can also understand it as a kind of blessing." As for why she said probably, it was because Jiang Shushu couldn't see through his facial features at all. In fact, Jiang Shushu already strained her eyes just trying to see his face through the golden light. What Jiang Shushu didn't see was that when she mentioned blessings, a subtle hint of mockery flashed across Chu Beizhi's eyes. That mockery was hidden in the golden light and disappeared in an instant. When he looked at Jiang Shushu again, his eyes were calm and collected. "This golden light is useful to you." He said it as a statement, with obvious certainty in his tone. Chu Beizhi was, after all, the youngest head of the Chu family lineage, and his mind was clearer than ordinary people. Based on his brief encounters with Jiang Shushu, he didn't think she was the kind of person who liked to offer enthusiastic explanations. But she not only spoke, but also spoke in great detail. Combined with the fact that she had secretly snatched from him once before, it was clear that she had designs on the golden light on him. Jiang Shushu didn't expect that her intentions would be easily seen through by the other party before she even opened her mouth, but that didn't prevent her from admitting it frankly. "I am indeed a little interested in you," Jiang Shushu said seriously, paused, met his deep, dark phoenix eyes, her expression faltered, and added, "I'm very interested in your golden light." She was almost certain that the last time she was able to summon purple lightning was entirely due to the blessing of his golden light. In addition, she had just witnessed his golden light dispelling the resentment that even professionals could not eliminate. It was clear that this golden light was not just a simple effect of dispelling yin and evil. She spoke frankly, but Chu Beizhi didn't dislike such frankness. He looked at her, seemingly waiting for her to continue. However, Jiang Yuxi didn't speak for a long time, because just as she was about to speak, her gaze was drawn to an object on the curio shelf behind Chu Beizhi. Chu Beizhi frowned as he waited for her to continue, but he saw Jiang Yuxi suddenly stand up. She walked past him, heading straight for the curio shelf behind him. Chu Beizhi's curio shelf was full of collectibles, but Jiang Yuxi's gaze was fixed on a dead branch in the corner of the shelf, covered by a glass dao. Black. A millennium-old thunder-struck peachwood. It was her master's. At this moment, Jiang Yuxi had forgotten all about the golden light. Pointing at the peachwood branch, her apricot eyes burned with intensity, she asked him, "Where did this peachwood come from?" Chu Beizhi raised his eyebrows slightly at her serious expression. When it came to the collectibles in his house, only that peach branch had a unique origin. "A friend left it with me temporarily." Chu Beizhi's calm voice made Jiang Yuxi's eyes tremble. She pressed, "What friend? Male or female? How old? What's their name? Do you have any photos?" 4 soul-searching questions in a row. She had clearly forgotten that she and he were only casual acquaintances. Chu Beizhi didn't feel offended by her actions. After a moment of silence, he simply said, "Female about my age." She didn't give a name. Chu Beizhi said, "She left the item with me temporarily, saying someone would come to pick it up for her." What he didn't say was that the person had acted very familiarly when giving him the item, choosing a spot on the curio shelf. The spot now covered by the glass doll, which had previously held an ancient dagger. That person took his dagger and replaced it with the peach branch that looked like broken wood. As a perfectionist, Chu Beizhi couldn't stand having such a thing in his study, especially since it was taking up space on his curio shelf. But he couldn't remove it. It was still the same glass doll, but no matter how much he tried, it wouldn't budge. Later, he had no choice but to leave the branch on the shelf, and he gradually got used to seeing it there. Chu Beizhi wanted to tell Jiang Yuxi that the item couldn't be removed, but before he could speak, Jiang Yuxi had already reached out. Chu Beizhi then saw that the glass doll, which he couldn't move no matter what he did, was easily removed by Jiang Yuxi. Then he watched as she took the peach branch and held it in her palm, effortlessly and decisively. Chu Beizhi. Seeing this, Chu Beizhi understood. The person who said someone would come to pick it up for her was undoubtedly Jiang Yuxi. But how would that person know that Jiang Yuxi would see this item in his study? What is that? Chu Beizhi actually knew what it was. He had looked it up online. Thunderstruck peachwood. Although rare, it had no collectible value. But this thing, the Xianmen people seemed to like it very much. But then she heard Jiang Yuxi say, "This is my master's 1,000-year-old lightning strike wood." She had this with her when she disappeared. It was also something she said she would leave for me. When Jiang Yuxi looked at Chu Beizhi again, her eyes were full of doubt and scrutiny. What is the relationship between Master and Chu Beizhi? Why did she give him this lightning strike wood to keep? And why did she ask me to take it? Can Master also see the golden light on Chu Beizhi? Could her disappearance be related to Chu Beizhi? Jiang Yuxi's mind was spinning, and suddenly, as if she had thought of something, her eyes showed a subtle expression, and she asked him, "Besides this lightning strike wood, did she leave you anything else?" Chu Beizhi shook his head no. Jiang Yuxi breathed a sigh of relief, only to hear him continue. "But before she left, she drew something in the palm of my hand, and I haven't been able to wash it off since. As someone with obsessive-compulsive disorder, this has tormented him for a long time." Jiang Yuxi's brow twitched, and she quickly stepped forward, grabbing his right hand without hesitation to take a look at his palm. In the center of the man's broad palm was a striking red peachwood mark. The corner of Jiang Yuxi's mouth twitched. Silently, she clenched her own left palm, because there was an identical peachwood mark in her palm, just like the Dalai's. Her master had said that if she ever saw someone with the exact same mark in their palm, she shouldn't doubt it. That person was the fiancé her master had chosen for her. Chapter 65. I win, you shut up. Perhaps Jiang Yuxi's expression while looking at the mark was too strange, because Chu Beizhi's eyes sharpened, locking onto her intently. What is this mark? This. Jiang Yuxi steadied her mind, regaining her composure. Meeting Chu Beizhi's gaze, she explained without any guilt. It's a protective mark to ensure safety. Jiang Yuxi said this without batting an eyelid, having no intention of telling him about the fiancé. Chu Beizhi simply looked at her, his dark eyes seeming to shimmer with broken light, sometimes bright, sometimes dim. "Oh," he responded softly, the ending note slightly raised, sounding as deep and pleasant as a cello, yet full of hidden meaning. Afraid he would press further, Jiang Yuxi changed the subject and asked how Chu Beizhi knew the other person. Chu Beizhi only said, "When I met her, She claimed to be a guest lecturer at the Heiress Taoist Academy. Seeing Jiang Keshu's eyes flicker slightly, as if she wanted to ask something, he didn't wait for her to speak and continued. As for why I associated with her, it involves my personal affairs, which I cannot disclose. Jiang Keshu pursed her lips, feeling her words blocked. But at least it wasn't a complete loss. Heiress Taoist Academy. She repeated the name silently in her heart. Yet she felt somewhat puzzled. Her master had never mentioned that she was also a lecturer at the Taoist Academy. But regardless, it was at least a clue. Looking back, today's harvest was quite substantial. She found the thunderstruck wood left by her master, learned about her master's whereabouts, and gained a fiancé. Jiang Keshu couldn't help but glance at Chu Beizhi again. The man before her was still enveloped in golden light. His handsome features, illuminated by the golden light, seemed to have a holy aura. The god-level looks that people on the internet often talked about were probably like this. However, beneath the holy light, his brows and eyes exuded an indifferent coolness, giving people a sense of unapproachability. Since Master Ku was willing to entrust the lightning-struck wood he valued so much to Chu Beizhi, and also placed the peachwood mark on him, it indicates that Chu Beizhi himself must be extraordinary. She even had a premonition that as long as she stayed with this person, she would eventually wait for her master to appear. As for the fiancé thing, Jiang Su decided to keep it to herself for the time being. Everything would wait until she found her master. Jiang Su thanked Chu Beizhi, took the zongzi and the lightning-struck peachwood, and left the Chu family's villa on her own. Chu Beizhi stood on the second floor watching her walk away, his dark eyes filled with a chilling coolness. He raised his hand and looked at the mark on his palm again, and when he thought of Jiang Sui's explanation just now, his face was inscrutable. Only the faint arc at the corner of his lips carried a hint of mockery. A protective mark? Heh, she was clearly lying. Jiang Sui didn't know that her lie had been seen through by the Chu CEO. She quickly ran back to the Jiang family's villa with the zongzi in one hand and the lightning-struck wood in the other. Inside the Jiang family's villa, everyone had been alarmed by the explosion just now, but they didn't expect to enter Jiang Sui's room and not see anyone. Just as they were worried, they saw Jiang Sui rushing back from outside, still wearing the slippers she wore at home. Sui, where did you go? We heard such a loud noise in your room just now, and everyone was worried sick. Why did you run out? The second Madame Yao Lin stepped forward, her tone anxious and concerned, her eyes carefully scanning her body, then falling on the things in her hands, her expression strange. And picked up a tree branch? Jiang Sui wasn't angry when she heard her call it a tree branch. This thing originally looked no different from ordinary wood in the eyes of outsiders. She just casually explained, I was doing an air cannon experiment in my room just now, and it accidentally failed. The third Madame Xuaningyu happened to be at home today, and couldn't help but step forward and ask with concern, why are you still doing experiments in your room? That's too dangerous. Are you hurt? Jiang Sui shook her head, paused and added, I'll pay attention next time. Xuaningyu smiled at her, but heard Jiang Han speak up with dissatisfaction. You're doing experiments at home? Don't you know how dangerous it is to do experiments? What if you blow something up? This house doesn't only have you living in it. Although Jiang Han had restrained himself a lot since last time, it was rare to catch Jiang Sui making a mistake, and with Jiang Yuqing and Jiang Hui not at home, he naturally wouldn't be polite. Jiang Shushu turned her head at the words, but before she could speak, Jiang Su jumped out ahead of her. Isn't everything all right? It's just a small matter. My sister knows what she's doing. It's not like she's going to blow you up, is she? Jiang Su's protectiveness was too obvious, making Jiang Han's face darken with anger. Ever since that accident, this brat has been chasing after Jiang Shushu like a different person. He didn't even pick up Lin Ruirui from the hospital, and Ruirui was being cold to him yesterday. He wondered if she had been bewitched by someone. Thinking of Ruirui's sad expression at the time, Jiang Han's face darkened even more. You say it's okay, but is it really okay? Can you guarantee that for her? Then he turned his head and directly confronted Jiang Shushu. Now that you've returned to the Jiang family, you can't just do what you want without considering others. His words were practically accusing her of being selfish and uncultured. As soon as Jang Su heard this, he wanted to step forward and argue with him, but Jiang Xiuxiu raised her hand, and the charred twig stopped him. She looked at Jiang Han unconcerned. You're right, there are so many people living in this house. I can't just shut people up because I find some of them too noisy. Her tone was calm, without a hint of sarcasm, but it made Jiang Han's face turn black. Who are you calling noisy? Jiang Su, not afraid of adding fuel to the fire, cheerfully chimed in, hey, whoever answers to it is who she's talking about. Jiang Han's face became even more unsightly. He stepped forward, looking like he was about to get physical. Seeing this, Yao Lin quickly stopped him. All right, we're all family. Why are you talking so harshly? Jiang Han, you too, stop talking. Xuening Yu also pulled her son back. And you, stop stoking the fire. After all, there were two elders standing nearby, so Jiang Han couldn't really do anything. He snorted coldly, turned around, and was about to leave when Jiang Xiuxiu stopped him. If I can prove that it won't affect anyone in this villa, would you dare to make a bet with me? Hearing this, Jiang Han stopped in his tracks, turned his head to look at Jiang Xiuxiu, his expression full of disdain. How can you prove it? Jiang Xiuxiu, as long as you dare to agree, I have a way to prove it. Jiang Han laughed immediately, a cold laugh. Okay, what do you want to bet? Jiang Xiuxiu's clear eyes swept over Jiang Han, and she smiled slightly. If I win, I don't want to hear your voice for the next week. Uffed. Jiang Su couldn't help but laugh, and Jiang Han's face turned even darker. He felt that Jiang Xiuxiu was still indirectly scolding him for being noisy and telling him to shut up. Okay, I'll bet with you. But I'll be the one to decide if it has an impact or not. If you lose, you're not allowed to do anything in this house that I don't allow. Jiang Han thought that if he said this, Jiang Xiuxiu would definitely be afraid. After all, he would be the one to decide what counts as an impact, which meant he was the referee. Although the villa had good soundproofing, it wasn't completely soundproof. As long as she made a move, he would always be able to catch her in the act. Jiang Xiuxiu didn't even bother to lift her eyelids. Fine. Jiang Han asked again, then how do you plan to prove it? This time, Jiang Xiuxiu finally looked up at him, her voice soft, saying only, you'll know tonight. With that, she didn't stay any longer and went upstairs with the zongzi and peachwood. Jiang Han looked at her back, and when he thought about her saying tonight just now, he felt a little uneasy for some reason. Tonight, what could happen? Chapter 66. Silence Talisman. Apart from Jiang Su, no one else took this bet between the two to heart. Even Jiang Han himself completely forgot about it as soon as he turned away. In the evening, Jiang Han returned to his room to take a shower. The master bedrooms in the Jiang family were all equipped with separate bathrooms, and Jiang Han had his own separate bathroom as well. Entering the bathroom and turning on the shower, Jiang Han was rinsing his hair under the water when suddenly, the water stopped. Jiang Han, covered in foam and unable to open his eyes, instinctively reached out and pressed the shower switch, but found no response. His face darkened, he grabbed a towel from the side, rubbed his eyes haphazardly, and walked to the bathroom door, poking his head out to shout, "Butler! Uncle Ming! Why is there no water in my room?" His voice wasn't soft, but there was still no movement outside. Jiang Han assumed they couldn't hear him with the door closed, and raised his voice to shout again, "Uncle Ming! Aunt Zhang! My room has no water. Get someone to come and take a look." Jiang Han felt that he had shouted loud enough. Normally, even if people were downstairs, they should have heard him and come up, but it was completely quiet at the moment. Not only did it seem like no one outside could hear him, but he felt that the room was eerily quiet, with not a single sound coming from outside. Even the occasional chirping of cicadas and insects at night seemed to be absent. For some reason, he thought of Jiang Xiuxiu's words, tonight. And then he thought of that person's fondness for those mystical and ghostly things. Jiang Han swallowed hard, feeling the hairs on his arms stand on end. Without thinking much, he wrapped a towel around his lower body, rushed out of the bathroom with a head full of foam, and ran directly to the door. Uncle Ming." His voice even carried a hint of fear. He shouted as he opened the door and rushed out. The moment he opened the door, Jiang Han seemed to hear sounds from the outside world. At the same time, his terrified shout caught the attention of others in the villa. Jiang Su, whose room was right next to his, was the first to open his door after hearing the commotion. "What's wrong? What's wrong?" Turning his head, his eyes widened instantly. "Dad." Jiang Yumin, who was called Dad, happened to be following Uncle Yao Linming upstairs. When he saw Jiang Han with a head full of foam, only wrapped in a towel, and still dripping wet, his eyes widened as well. Yao Lin even subconsciously covered her younger daughter Jiang Ying's eyes, telling her to go downstairs. Jiang Yumin also came out of his room after hearing the commotion. Seeing Jiang Han in this state, his face immediately darkened. "What do you look like? Hurry up and go inside." Jiang Han was about to cry. Was it that he didn't want to go in? It was clearly that his room wasn't clean. "Dad, Mom, my room." He wanted to say that his room wasn't clean, but thinking that his father was somewhat averse to this, he could only say with a bitter face, "My room suddenly has no water." As the housekeeper, Uncle Ming was naturally in charge of this matter. Hearing this, he hurriedly stepped forward. How could that be? As he spoke, he walked inside, feeling that this was unlikely. Not to mention that this villa area had never had a water outage. The water supply system in the villa was the most advanced intelligent system. Even if a water pipe burst, it would automatically issue a warning and automatically shut off the water valve. Thinking this, Uncle Ming entered the bathroom and reached out to turn on the shower. He saw a stream of water spraying out, accompanied by wisps of hot air, almost splashing him. There was water, and the water temperature was normal. Uncle Ming was stunned for a moment, but he felt that young Master Jiang Han couldn't be lying, so he tried it twice more, turning it off and on and off. Because the bathroom and room doors were open, the people outside could clearly hear the sound of Uncle Ming testing the shower, and they all looked at Jiang Han at once. Jiang Han was immediately dumbfounded. "Just now, when I turned it on, there was no water." "All right, hurry up and go back in and wash off all that foam." Jiang Yumin felt that this son was not steady enough, making a fuss over a small matter. Yao Lin also advised, "Yes, go in and wash up quickly and change your clothes. Don't catch a cold." Although it was summer, it was easy to catch a cold standing with a wet head. Jiang Han still felt a little creeped out. Thinking about how no one answered him no matter how he called out earlier, he didn't dare to go in and wash himself. I'll go to Jang Su's room to wash." As he spoke, without caring whether he agreed or not, he raised his foot and went directly into Jiang Su's room's bathroom next door. Jiang Su couldn't stop him and could only stomp his feet outside. Jiang Yumin shook his head and turned back to his room with Yao Lin. Here, Jiang Han, thinking about what happened just now, didn't dare to take his time showering. He quickly washed himself clean and changed his clothes before leaving the room. As soon as he left the room, he saw two people sitting in Jiang Su's room. One was Jiang Su, and the other was Jiang Shushu. Jiang Han was startled at first, but after reacting, he glared at Jiang Shushu. "Was it you who played a trick just now?" He knew it. The water had suddenly stopped just now. How could it be fine when Uncle Ming went in? And how no one reacted no matter how he called just now? He didn't think it was an accident. Thinking back to Jiang Shushuan's earlier bet, he almost immediately concluded that she was behind it. He just didn't know what means she had used. Jiang Su sat beside her, clearly curious about what was happening. Jiang Shushu watched Jiang Han's frustrated appearance, but remained calm and composed. Without denying anything, she casually took out a yellow talisman. "This is a silence talisman. Stick it on the door, and no matter how loud it gets inside, no sound will be heard outside. You've already experienced the effect just now." This was her modification based on the barrier talisman's formula, only for soundproofing. Everything else remained as usual. Although Jiang Han verbally blamed Jiang Shushu, he actually thought she had used some special technological method. Never would I have thought she'd pull out a talisman directly, her eyes widening in shock, seemingly at a loss for words. Jiang Su, standing beside her, widened his eyes as well, but his expression was one of fascination. "There's a talisman like this? Sis, I want one too. Sell it to me." With this talisman, would he still be afraid of his parents catching him playing games? He wouldn't even need to wear headphones. Jiang Shushuan was equally blunt with Jiang Shushu's directness, turning her head, 2,000 per piece. Jiang Sun nodded without thinking, took out his phone and transferred the money to her. Jiang Han was completely dumbfounded watching from the side. You really know magic? Jiang Han felt like his worldview was about to be shattered. Jiang Shushu glanced at Jiang Han, too lazy to explain, and simply said, I won the bet. Jiang Han's mouth twitched. He wanted to deliberately let her lose, but he had personally experienced what had just happened, and even the family had seen it, so he couldn't deny it even if he wanted to. Suddenly he thought of something again, looked at Jiang Shushu, his face unsightly. That's not right, even if you used a talisman. What about the water in my room? Jiang Han imagined that Jiang Shushu had sent a little ghost to stop his water supply while he was taking a shower. Otherwise, how could it have been so coincidental? Thinking that there might have been a little ghost watching him while he was showering, Jiang Han's hair stood on end again, and he looked at Jiang Shushu as if he were looking at a monster. Jiang Shushu looked at him, but gave a different answer. The house's water control system can monitor the water usage of each room in real time. Jiang Han. Not a little ghost? Jiang Shushu seemed to sigh and explained, I just watched your water usage and estimated the time to turn off the water valve in your room. That's all. Jiang Han's mouth twitched violently when he heard this. That's all. Chapter 67. I should have just said a month. Jiang Han felt more aggrieved than ever before. Jang Su, who had transferred the money and successfully obtained the silent talisman he wanted, remembered Jiang Han's appearance just now, as well as the bet between the two, and instantly seemed to understand something. Brother Han, so you ran out because you ran out of water halfway through your shower, and no one heard you. Before he could finish speaking, Jiang Han covered Jiang Su's mouth. Shut up. Jiang Shushu looked at Jiang Han again, leisurely, and repeated again, I won the bet. Jiang Han looked depressed. Although unwilling, he did lose. Jiang Shushu didn't waste any words with him, stood up, and simply said, for the next week, don't let me hear the sound of your voice. After a pause, he emphasized again, I believe Jiang family's fourth young master still has this much credibility, right? If not, it doesn't matter. She can make sure he does. Although Jiang Han looked gloomy, he still replied impatiently, Don't worry, my word is my bond. Jiang Shushu was immediately satisfied, nodded, and went straight out of Jiang Su's room. As she left, the two vaguely heard her mutter, I knew I should have directly asked for a month. Jiang Han. Poochie. Jiang Su couldn't help but laugh again. Jiang Han glared at him with a gloomy face. Jiang Su, what's wrong with you now? You're always helping this outsider. Hearing this, Jiang Su immediately straightened his neck. What outsider? She's my cousin and your own cousin. If you say that again, I'll tell uncle. Jiang Han was almost amused by Jiang Su, this fool. Only kids tattle. Besides, who was the one who kept jumping out to target this cousin in the first place? Have you forgotten what you did? Brother Han, you saw it yourself. My sister has real skills. Don't go against her in the future, or if my sister really gets angry one day, it'll be easy for her to deal with you. Jiang Su rarely offered a heartfelt piece of advice. Jiang Han inexplicably recalled the tricks of those Xianmen people using little ghosts to deal with people, and felt a chill in his heart, but he refused to show any weakness on his face. She dares. I'll tell uncle on her. Jiang Su. Who was it just now who said only kids tattle? Jiang Han was too lazy to say more to Jiang Su, turned around, and went back to his room. Upstairs, as soon as Jiang Shushu returned to her room, she saw the little infant spirit, like a ginseng doll, kicking its short legs and floating around the room. The little infant spirit, free of resentment, looked like a chubby little ginseng, kicking its legs as it floated, looking very cute. It kicked its legs and floated to the window several times, but was bounced back by the barrier Jiang Shushu had set up in the room. Although it no longer harbored resentment, the little infant spirit still instinctively wanted to find its mother. Little Cutie seemed to find it interesting, wagging its chubby, round tail as it chased after the little infant spirit, and even tried to open its mouth to catch it when it was bounced back. The little infant spirit was so frightened that it quickly floated into the air. At this moment, seeing Jiang Shushu return, it kicked its short legs and floated onto her shoulder, panting as if it were exhausted. Although they hadn't known each other for long, it clearly knew that this human wouldn't hurt it. Besides, as long as she snuggles on her shoulder, that little fox wouldn't dare to nip at her anymore. Jiang Shishu looked at the palm-sized little chubby radish on her shoulder, and her eyebrows softened slightly. But she still educated it. Don't run around. If you are obedient, I will take you back to see your mother before sending you to reincarnation. The little chubby radish seemed to understand her words, and kicked its short arms, as if wanting to hug her. Jiang Shishu ignored it. Walking to the table, she carefully studied the 1,000-year-old lightning struck wood of her master. The lightning wood was charred black, and the branches, scorched by lightning and fire, were covered with ravines and meandering patterns. Jiang Shishu had once asked her master why her thunderstruck wood wasn't made into a magical artifact. Her master had said at the time, "This thunderstruck wood was originally found for you, but I can't give it to you yet. When you break free from the shackles of the Guan family's fate, then I'll make this thing into a magical artifact according to your wishes." The Guan family raised her for 18 years, using her fate to ward off disasters for Lin Ruirui. The involvement of their lifelines was not easily untangled, so she could only cut off her connection with the Guan family step by step. Taking Lin Ruirui's car accident calamity in her stead is repayment of kindness. Repaying the Guan family's 18 years of upbringing is repayment of debt. Publicly ending ties with the Guan family is severing affection. Now that kindness and debt are settled, she has also obtained the thunderstruck wood prepared for her, as her master said. Jiang Shuxin thought for a moment, then took out a cinnabar brush and drew the desired shape on the wooden branch. Crafting a magic artifact is not a simple matter. The inscriptions on the magical artifact must follow the pattern of the lightning marks. Carving the inscriptions, polishing, and consecrating all require spiritual energy and cannot be done overnight. Jiang Shishu looked at her simple desk again. After thinking about it, she decided to move her tools from the rental house back here. The Jiang family villa had no shortage of rooms, and besides, her current room was already a suite. Originally, a bed was placed outside to make it easier for the nanny to take care of the child. Although they moved away later, it was basically used to store toys. Jiang Shishu didn't plan to live here for a long time at first, but since she's back and decided to stay, she needs to add some necessary items. But there's no rush for any of this. After tidying up, Jiang Shishu ordered some things from the Spirit Affairs Network before going to sleep with Little Pretty and Little Fat Radish. Downstairs the next day. Even though it was still the holidays, the Jiang family didn't have the habit of letting their children sleep in. As soon as Jiang Shishu came downstairs, she saw Jiang Han sitting next to Lu Xueshi, talking to her about something. When he caught her out of the corner of his eye, he suddenly seemed to remember something and abruptly stopped talking. Jiang Cheng, who was next to him, felt confused. He followed his line of sight to the stairs and saw Jiang Shishu. He didn't show any obvious dislike, but nodded to her coldly before looking away. Lu Xueshi, on the other hand, walked towards her and said with a smile, "Shishu, I heard that you were the one who led people to the teaching building to save me that day. I haven't had a chance to thank you. Now that you're home, how about I cook lunch as a thank you? What would you like to eat?" Jiang Shishu raised her eyebrows slightly, glanced at Lu Xueshi and her bodyguards, and said indifferently, "No need." Lu Xueshi's face dimmed upon hearing this, but she still insisted, "Don't be so polite with me. I've studied cooking, and although I'm not a master chef, it's still edible. Tell me what you'd like to eat." I said no need. Jiang Shishu interrupted her, her expression still indifferent. Lu Xueshi's voice was slightly hoarse, and before she could speak again, Jiang Cheng and Jiang Han, who were beside her, both frowned in unison. Jiang Cheng was especially displeased. "Jiang Shishu, Xueshi is making a special offer to cook for you to thank you. What's with your attitude?" Jiang Han also wanted to open his mouth to criticize her, but suddenly saw Jiang Shishu's apricot eyes sweeping over him. His heart skipped a beat, and the words that had reached his lips were swallowed back. He kept his lips tightly closed. Chapter 68. How about you make a bet with me too? Jiang Cheng was originally waiting for Jiang Han to cooperate and condemn this rude cousin. But after waiting for a long time, he saw Jiang Han holding back, his face tense, and his lips tightly pursed, not saying a word. But he couldn't ask any more questions at the moment, turned his head, and continued to educate Jiang Shishu. But she suddenly turned her head and abruptly asked him, "How about you make a bet with me too?" Jiang Cheng was stunned. Jiang Han's face darkened, and before Jiang Cheng could speak, he grabbed him. When he looked at him, every feature on his face was filled with 4 words. Don't agree. This Jiang Xiuxiu was not to be trifled with. Jiang Xiuxiu was asking seriously. She had expected that this person wouldn't be quiet as early as when Lu Xueshi spoke. Sure enough, she knew she should have waited for Jiang Cheng yesterday and made a bet with him together. Jiang Cheng had stayed in his room yesterday, but Lu Xueshi knew the cause and effect, and seeing Jiang Han's appearance, it was clear that he had lost. But she didn't understand. When did Jiang Han lose? Her mind was racing, but that didn't stop her from speaking out to dissuade him. Brother Jiang Cheng, don't talk to Xiuxiu like that. Uncle will be angry with you again if he sees you. Lu Xueshi said and looked at Jiang Xiuxiu again. It's okay if Xiuxiu doesn't want to eat the food I cook. It was just a suggestion and shouldn't be forced. Or if there's anything you want, you can tell me. I really want to thank you. Jiang Xiuxiu glanced at her. Then transfer the money. As soon as Jiang Xiuxiu said this, not only Lu Xueshi, but also the 2 brothers, Jiang Han and Jiang Cheng, were stunned. Jiang Xiuxiu didn't care, reached out, took out her phone, and opened the transfer QR code. 300,000. Jiang Han subconsciously wanted to say she was robbing money, but when he met Jiang Xiuxiu's eyes, he quickly covered his mouth. Jiang Cheng on the side didn't care, frowned in dissatisfaction. Jiang Xiuxiu, are you that short of money? Are you even scamming your family for money? Jiang Xiuxiu looked at him with indifferent eyes. Didn't she say she wanted to thank me? I don't need those formal thanks. If you want to thank me, transfer the money directly. 300,000 isn't a random price. A thunder talisman is worth 100,000, and that's still one she drew herself. You should know that on the Spirit Event website, an intermediate thunder talisman is priced at over 800,000. Jiang Xiuxiu felt that her asking price was already very cheap. Lu Xueshi looked at Jiang Xiuxiu's serious look of asking for money. Her eyes flickered, and she quickly smiled. Xiuxiu is right, I really shouldn't just talk about it. 300,000, right? I'll transfer it to you now. As she said that, she was about to pick up the phone next to her. But Jiang Cheng held her phone down. Xueshi, don't move. Isn't she just short of money? I'll give her the money. While saying that, he was about to take out his phone, but found that he didn't bring his phone. Not wanting Jiang Xiuxiu to think he was shirking, Jiang Cheng directly looked at Jiang Han. I didn't bring my phone. Jiang Han, help me transfer the money to her first. Jiang Han. Seeing that he didn't move, Jiang Cheng frowned again. What's wrong with you? Are you really afraid of her? Jiang Han's eyes widened when he heard this. He was afraid of her. What a joke. He immediately took out his phone and directly transferred 500,000 to Jiang Xiuxiu. The extra 200,000 was his reward to her. Jiang Cheng keenly noticed and immediately looked approving, then gave Jiang Xiuxiu a provocative look. Here's an extra 200,000 for you to keep as pocket money. Don't be so short-sighted and always looking for handouts. Lu Xueshi lowered her eyes slightly upon hearing this, the falling bangs perfectly concealing the smile in her eyes. Jiang Xiuxiu looked at the 500,000 yuan that had been credited to her account, then looked at Jiang Cheng and Jiang Han's condescending, dismissive expressions, and suddenly asked Jiang Han, has anyone ever told you not to casually transfer money to a Xian master? Jiang Han was stunned, while Jiang Cheng looked at Jiang Xiuxiu, a look of confusion on his face. Jiang Xiuxiu's clear apricot eyes stared directly at Jiang Han, and she said slowly, consider the extra 200,000 as a fortune-telling fee that you've deposited with me in advance. I'll try my best to make sure you use it up ahead of time. Jiang Xiuxiu's voice was unhurried, and her tone could even be described as earnest. Jiang Cheng was still confused, but Jiang Han, who was beside him, suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. Jiang Cheng didn't know, but he had personally experienced it last night, and knew that Jiang Xiuxiu really had some ability. Hearing Jiang Xiuxiu's words again, telling him to use it up ahead of time, didn't that mean letting him encounter some metaphysical event in advance? What does it have to do with him? He was just helping to transfer the money. Jiang Han regretted it. Why did he have to be so impulsive and transfer that extra 200,000? Jiang Cheng also realized the meaning behind Jiang Shushu's words at this moment, and his face immediately darkened. He just thought Jiang Shushu was deliberately scaring people. Jiang Shushu, don't always use your mysterious tricks to scare people at home. No one buys into that. Although Jiang Han felt a chill in his heart, he refused to show any timidity when facing Jiang Shushu. So he echoed Jiang Cheng's words and nodded heavily, pretending to be calm. Whatever. Jiang Shushu glanced at him, too lazy to continue arguing with these two Jiangs, and turned around to go to the dining room for breakfast. When she was almost finished eating, Jang Su staggered downstairs with narrowed eyes, not even looking at the people sitting in the living room, and went straight to the dining room. When he saw Jiang Shushu, his brain, which was originally in a state of sleep, instantly woke up. He excitedly approached Jiang Shushu and talked about how good the silence charm she had given him last night was. He had been playing games with the sound on until 3 a.m. last night. His dad and mom, and even Uncle Ming and the others, couldn't hear any noise and didn't come to urge him to sleep. Jiang Shushu looked at the dark circles under his eyes and silently decided to put more restrictions on selling charms to minors in the future. Like this minor in front of her, he was clearly the type who could kill himself. She didn't say anything to persuade him and finished the porridge in front of her. Jiang Su didn't feel neglected and asked her again, "Sis, what are your plans for today? Are you going out?" Jiang Su felt that the feeling of going out with Jiang Shushu to uphold justice was particularly great, and he wanted to go with her again. "I'm not going out today." Jiang Shushu shattered his illusion. "I'm staying home today to receive a package." Jiang Su. Receiving a package? Does that require you to stay home specifically? Then what are Uncle Ming, Aunt Zhang, and the security guards for? Before Jiang Su could overthink it, Uncle Ming came over and said that there was a package delivery outside the villa that required a signature, and asked if he should let them in. Jiang Shushu nodded to Uncle Ming. "It's my package, let them in." Jiang Su was curious about what Jiang Shushu had bought that required her to sign for it in person. Although Lu Xueshi and the others in the living room didn't show it, they were equally curious and sat in the living room, waiting silently for the delivery to arrive. Before long, the villa gate was opened. Everyone saw 3 black-hatted delivery guys standing outside the door. Jiang Su remembered that the delivery guy who came to deliver a package to Jiang Shushu yesterday seemed to be dressed the same way, but he didn't seem to recognize this uniform. Which delivery company was this? Look at the all-black attire. Black clothes, black pants, black masks. They looked less like delivery men, and more like members of some mysterious organization. Then Jiang Shushu stepped forward, first took out her phone as if to verify her identity, and then the 3 delivery guys each carried one of the large boxes, which were half the height of a person, and followed Jiang Shushu upstairs with ease. Jiang Su immediately followed. He watched as the 3 of them carried the boxes all the way into Jiang Shushu's room, and was about to follow when he saw Jiang Shushu walked over and shut the door directly in his face. Jiang Su looked incredulous. It was just delivering a package. Did it need to be so mysterious? She wouldn't even let him see. Wasn't he her dear cousin? Chapter 69. You don't meet our company's customer standards. No matter how curious Jiang Su was, Jiang Shushu simply didn't open the door. Jiang Su stood outside, trying to hear any movement inside, but heard nothing. About half an hour later, just as Jiang Su was about to fall asleep, his body suddenly felt like it was brushed by a gust of fresh wind, making him feel refreshed instantly. At the same time, everyone in the villa felt a refreshing breeze, and suddenly felt their ears and eyes clear. Uncle Ming downstairs was even more puzzled. Where did the wind come from? Because it was summer, the villa had central air conditioning running almost all day to ensure that the people inside would not feel any heat. Since the air conditioning was on, where did the wind come from? It felt quite comfortable though. On the other side, there was finally movement again in Jiang Shushu's room. The 3 black-hatted delivery guys came out with the empty cardboard boxes and respectfully bid farewell to Jiang Shushu. Jiang Su didn't know if it was his imagination, but he felt that the eyes of these 3 black-hatted delivery guys seemed to have a bit more admiration when they looked at Sister Su. Jiang Su couldn't wait to get into the room and saw that, apart from a toolbox placed on the table by Jiang Shushu, there seemed to be no new large furniture added to the room. Sis, where are those 3 big boxes of stuff you bought? How come there's only this toolbox left? Although Jang Su's toolbox didn't look small, it was like a small suitcase. But the ones the 3 delivery guys were carrying just now were obviously much bigger than this toolbox. Jang Su only glanced at the floor under his feet, but didn't explain. What Jang Su didn't notice was that the floor under his feet had been completely replaced. If there were Xianmen people here, they would find that the position Jang Su was standing on was actually a spirit gathering array paved with spirit stones. This kind of spirit gathering array is generally used for cultivation to gather spiritual energy. As a talisman master, Jang Su needs more spiritual energy to assist her, whether she is drawing or engraving talismans. The spirit gathering array is to better gather the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in this room. And when the spiritual energy gathers, in addition to Jang Su's room, the entire villa can be more or less washed by the spiritual energy. The refreshing breeze that everyone in the villa felt just now was the movement after Jang Su activated the array. Jang Su didn't explain, and Jang Su naturally had no way of knowing, but standing in his sister's room, he was a little reluctant to go out. How to say? He felt that the air conditioner in his sister's room was very different. It didn't give people a cool feeling, but it was just right. Just standing here gives people a feeling of clarity, which is very comfortable. Downstairs, Jiang Cheng and the others were also paying attention to the movement upstairs. When they saw the 3 black hat guys walking down the stairs in a proper manner, he seemed to think of something, got up, and walked straight to the few people. Which company are you from? Not only Jiang Su, Jiang Cheng also obviously found that Jiang Su seemed to like using this courier company very much. But looking at them, they didn't even have a logo on their bodies, and at first glance, they didn't even look like they were delivering couriers. Jiang Cheng was a little worried about whether Jiang Su had joined some strange cult organization. He doesn't care what happens to her, but he can't implicate the reputation of the Jiang family. Thinking so in his heart, his face was amiable. My new company is planning to find a courier company to cooperate with. Give me a business card, and maybe there will be an opportunity to cooperate in the future. Jiang Cheng was not lying. He graduated from university this year, and is preparing to start his own business. He does need a logistics company to cooperate with, but he definitely doesn't like ordinary small companies. After all, he is from the Jiang family. Even if he starts his own business, all aspects of resources must be top-notch. Jiang Cheng thought that after he said this, the 3 little couriers in front of him would immediately be terrified and happily send him their company's business card. After all, this is the Jiang family. Being able to cooperate with the Jiang family is definitely a pie in the sky. Unexpectedly, the 3 couriers in front of him just looked at him blankly. One of them, whose black mask only revealed a pair of eyes, scanned him from head to toe, and then seemed to smile. Sorry, you don't meet our company's customer standards. A muggle with no spiritual power at all. We don't receive you. Jiang Cheng was stunned, and Jiang Han and Lu Xueshi, who were listening from the side, were also stunned. What do you mean? I've only heard of customers choosing courier companies, but I've never heard of courier companies choosing customers. It's not the kind of company that only does large-scale logistics. Why choose customers? Besides, Jiang Su can use it. Why can't he use it? Jiang Cheng felt that this courier was looking down on him. However, the black hat guy on the opposite side did not intend to explain too much to him. After speaking, he turned around and walked towards the gate. Jiang Cheng felt like he had been slapped in the face, and didn't lower himself to argue with them. A no-name, fly-by-night courier service him even asking about it was already doing them a favor. Who even cares? Displeased, he also felt a bit resentful towards Jiang Su for using this fly-by-night courier service. Meanwhile, in a VIP hospital room, Lin Ruirui listened to the recording online, along with the one-sided condemnation and criticism in the comments below. Because of the intervention of the Jiang family's legal team, the news of Lin Ruirui suing Qin Hao and Lin Ruirui and other bullies was all over the internet. Lin Ruirui looked again at the video of Lin Ruirui, recounting her bullying experience in front of another camera, her originally pretty face now pale white. Her lips trembled, and she couldn't help but smash the iPad in her hand onto the ground. Perhaps the movement was too large, and it pulled the injury on her waist again, causing tears to well up in the corners of her eyes. Ruirui, what's wrong now? Bai Shuqin felt another pang of heartache seeing her daughter like this. Guan Ruirui was so angry that she cried, forgetting her usual pretense, her voice sharp. It's all Jiang Shushu's fault. She secretly recorded me. She clearly said the recording wouldn't be heard by anyone. And Lin Ruirui, that bitch isn't dead at all. They teamed up to trick me. She's not dead. Goodness knows how terrified Guan Ruirui was when she suddenly saw Lin Ruirui online. She thought she was seeing a ghost. But soon she understood. She wasn't seeing a ghost. She had been played. And she had been played by Jiang Shushu and Lin Ruirui together. They must have deliberately set a trap to make her say those things. At this moment, Guan Ruirui couldn't wait to be discharged from the hospital and rushed to Jiang Shushu to slap her hard. How dare she treat her like this? Ruirui, don't be afraid. Mom has already asked the lawyer to handle it. Since that Lin Ruirui isn't dead, there's nothing to be afraid of. Bai Shuqin only learned about her daughter's involvement in bullying after seeing the online news. Although she didn't want to believe that her well-behaved and kind daughter would do such a thing, the recording was indeed Ruirui's voice, and she had admitted it herself. Bai Shuqin was surprised, but she didn't take it too seriously. Children, after all, have some fights and make some small conflicts at school. That Lin Ruirui didn't cherish herself and got pregnant before she was even an adult. And now she's blaming her Ruirui. She's just making a fuss for money. Money is all it is. Your dad has plenty, and there's also the Qin family. With their family's financial resources and influence, how dare a Lin Ruirui fight them? Chapter 70. You have been removed from the group by the group owner. Bai Shuqin spoke with confidence, but Guan Ruirui didn't feel relieved at all. Even if she could use money to get rid of Lin Ruirui, her reputation was ruined this time. In the recording that Jiang Shushu posted online, in order to get rid of Lin Ruirui's spirit as soon as possible, she even directly said her dark thoughts, including how she felt that a commoner didn't deserve to use the same name as her, and that Lin Ruirui seduced Qin Hao, who was originally only focused on her, making her feel very ashamed. This morning alone, she had seen many discussions about her in various second-generation groups. I didn't expect Guan Ruirui to seem gentle and weak on the outside, but she's so domineering on the inside. Women are really scary. Guan Ruirui is a green tea bitch. I've said it before. Look how well she pretends on weekdays. Who would have thought she was so vicious? It's just that her name sounds the same, not even the same characters. This isn't letting people live. Does she think she's an ancient princess who can't have her name offended? It's ridiculous. You guys are being too harsh. She's in this group, right? So what if she's in it? My family isn't afraid of her. That's right, we're saying it for her to hear. This reminds me, at group owner, what's our status? Why are we in a group with her? +1, what are we? That we should be in the same group as her? Then came the group message notifications. She was kicked out of the group. Although not all groups kicked her out, and some second-generation heirs with temperaments similar to Qin Hao even felt it wasn't a big deal. But it was enough to make Guan Ruirui break down. Jiang Shushuan. Seeing Guan Ruirui falling into a frenzy again, Bai Shuqin felt a buzzing pain in her head. She hadn't slept well these past few days, and she sprained her foot while going down the stairs this morning. She subconsciously looked at the jade pendant Guan Ruirui was wearing around her neck. That was the jade pendant that Guan Qishan had found from a corner of the drawer. Because he was worried that Guan Ruirui's disaster-prone physique would worsen her injuries, Bai Shuqin persuaded Guan Qishan to give the jade pendant to his sister. As for the other jade pendant, Guan Baoqing kept it for himself. He was, after all, the head of the family, and Bai Shuqin couldn't argue with him. She hadn't thought it was a big deal anyway. But it really was just like that little bitch Jiang Shushuan had said. Without the jade pendant these past 2 days, she and her son had been constantly unlucky. Even though she felt sorry for her daughter, she really felt like she couldn't handle it. Ruirui, don't shout, Mom has a bit of a headache. She coaxed her. Your father will definitely not let those who bullied you get away with it. That Lin Ruirui, after this matter is over, our family will definitely make her and her family pay the price. Guan Ruirui stopped shouting upon hearing this, but suddenly stared at Bai Shuqin with bloodshot eyes. And Jiang Shuxuan. Of course, Bai Shuqin knew there was also Jiang Shuxuan. But Jiang Shuxuan was now a member of the Jiang family. Not to mention the Jiang family behind her. Just her abilities alone were not something they could easily deal with. Lin Ruirui saw Bai Shuqin's concerns with a single glance. She naturally understood as well. Jiang Shuxu dared to deal with her so unscrupulously only because she had the Jiang family behind her. She also knew that the Guan family was no match for the Jiang family in terms of financial resources or influence in High City. But to swallow this anger just like that, she was not reconciled. I'm going to sue her for fraud. Lin Ruirui suddenly seemed to grab a life-saving straw. Her eyes instantly brightened. Jiang Shuxu received 5 million from our family before. She first colluded with Lin Ruirui to set me up, defrauding 5 million and grandma's bracelet from our family. I can completely sue her for fraud. Bai Shuqin's eyes lit up when she heard this, but soon her face showed some concern. With just a transfer record, it might be difficult to sue her, right? What's more, the Jianghai Group's legal team was not to be trifled with. Although Bai Shuqin was arrogant, she still had some sense in her. Lin Ruirui didn't care. She just wanted to see Jiang Shuxu suffer as soon as possible. I don't care. I'm going to sue her. Our family raised her for 18 years, but she treats me like this. Why does she treat me like this? Mom, help me sue her. I must sue her. Lin Ruirui's emotions became agitated again, and Bai Shuqin had no choice but to coax her again. Okay, Mom will help you sue her, little ancestor. Don't get so excited. It's not good for your health. Lin Ruirui heard what she wanted to hear, and immediately grabbed Bai Shuqin's hand, shedding tears and pitifully selling herself. Mom, why won't she let me go? Why won't they let me go? I'm so uncomfortable. I'm really so uncomfortable. If her tantrums before only made Bai Shuqin reluctantly agree, but now she showed this vulnerable and pitiful posture again. She immediately threw the little bit of reason in Bai Shuqin's heart behind her. She felt both heartache and indignation. Ruirui, don't cry, that little white-eyed wolf. Mom will never let her go. She dares to bully my daughter, no matter what, I won't let her have a good time. After Bai Shuqin said that, she let go of Lin Ruirui, turned around and stormed out of the ward. Lin Ruirui watched her leave with red eyes, and the corners of her mouth slowly raised a smug smile. The Guan family. Guan Qishan was checking the feng shui at home with the master. After Jiang Shuxu left the hospital that day, he wondered if her words had given him some kind of hint. Guan Qishan always felt that something was wrong with his home. First of all, he also started having nightmares. In his dream, he woke up from his sleep, opened his eyes, but saw a woman lying next to his bed. At first, the woman was lying on the other side of the big bed. And when he woke up from his dream, thinking he had woken up, he suddenly saw the woman lying next to him again. For several nights in a row. And what made him even more terrified was, every time he woke up in his dream, the woman lying on his bed was sleeping closer and closer to him. The fear in Guan Qishan's heart was simply indescribable. He really didn't want to wake up one day and find that woman Tia close to him. Just thinking about that scene made him shudder. He even tried sleeping in hotels outside, but that woman, or rather, the female ghost in his dreams, seemed to have locked onto him. Every night, he would still dream of her getting closer and closer. He didn't know if this was what Jiang Shuxu had said before, that it was because he was too close to the cursed fate of Ruirui. He had thought about taking back the jade pendant that protected Ruirui, but he was criticized by Bai Shuqin. Helpless, he could only find another master to come home and take a look. As long as the female ghost was taken away, at least he wouldn't have to fall into dream terror every day. Master, how is it? Because of Lin Ruirui's fate, Guan Qishan was extremely trusting of these metaphysics and feng shui. The master in front of him was the one he had hired from outside at a high price. Then the master first walked around the villa, then around his room, and finally nodded. There are indeed some unclean things in your room.